2.345 dias após sua última final, a VK volta no segundo split 2024 para uma grande final de CBLOL.
So these kind of experiences now that I'm gonna go through in Belo Horizonte is what made me know that this is what I would want to do. This is what I love. I don't think I've worked this hard ever in my career, and yeah, I want to keep that up and make people proud. Hello guys, my name is Ludwig Granqvist. I'm 26. I play AD carry for Vivo Stars in CBLOL. I was born in it's called Lund, which is, I don't think people are gonna be familiar. Maybe people know Malmö, and it's like a bit north of Malmö, but it's like in the south of Sweden. And I lived there. It's like until I was like 4 or 5, I believe. And then my parents moved down to the countryside, kind of, or like the coastline of Sweden, to the very, very southwest point, the most southwest point you can get in whole of Sweden. And there I stayed until I was ready to go pro. It's a town that I really hold dear to my heart, that I really miss during the summers, because we have beaches. Even though it's Sweden, we have really nice beaches. And yeah, I just have a lot of good like childhood memories from the summers, especially because it's a town where you can kind of like bike anywhere. So I just bike with my friends, do some fun stuff, go to the beach, cause some trouble. League of Legends came in really early, actually. It was some friends I had who was neighboring. They didn't show me gaming. I knew about gaming before, but they kind of showed League. And it was like season 1 even, like late season 1, I believe, when I started. Because I even remember season 1 World Championship. That's how old I am. So basically, there was just this one guy I played solo queue with. He's like, oh, there's this Facebook group for Swedish people who's in D1 or above. Then I started playing some like online tournaments, and like it's funny how it works. Like one thing really leads to another thing. Like I played in Russian Championship. That was completely random. And then I played some Polish LAN, and then I went to the Spanish scene, and it was like a team with LCS players and people I watched playing LCS. I was like, wow. So that was like my first real professional experience was with like real pros at the time. Yeah, and then it's been France. It was Spain again, and France. France I spent a long time in. I was always moving around, so that's also like one of the cool things, I guess, about being a pro player in Europe, especially in those kind of under leagues, because I lived in a lot of different cities. I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different people I met. Like I was living in Madrid, I lived in Barcelona, I lived in Paris, I lived in Berlin. But it is funny though, because when I go home to my friends and my family in Sweden, they're like, oh, you must know all these languages and you must have seen all these like monuments and cultural things. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of sitting in playing League of Legends, you know, like. I'ma grind till I get it, day and night till I'm winning. Waste no time, have no business. Watch me push it to the limit. I'ma grind. Yeah, no, we've been going for a bit more than a year now. I should know exactly, you know what I mean? And it was a bit random because we started dating. We fell in love. We met in Berlin. She flew over to see me from Poland. She was living in Poland at the time.
It was actually a funny story because like I was the one who texted him. I was like, he was liking my stories on Instagram. I'm going to Berlin to like see you, because he was actually like ignoring me a little bit. So I was like, okay, I need to like take everything in my hands, and like I was like, okay, like I'm going. Like you cannot ignore me now. Like I will come like in like 20 days. See you.
My off season came, right, and this Brazil thing became a reality. She was home with me in Sweden at the time for like Christmas and stuff. At first I was like, Anna, I can't go to Brazil, you know, like it makes no sense. But then the more I talked to Chris and the more I thought about it in the context of my career and like what it would mean too, it's like, wow, like I really want to go to Brazil.
You know, I'm a guy that actually doesn't hire friends. I don't believe in hiring friends at all in any position. But I always make the exception for people that I think are brilliant, especially Smiley. I was very compelled to bring him here because I knew he had a very high skill ceiling, I knew that it would be more than enough for this region.
And then I had to break the news to Lena, right? It's like, Lena, so Brazil, how does that sound?
Like I think like Ludwig, he was like more thinking how it's gonna be than me. I was like, okay, we're going. I was more like you know, like I was like a vibe of football player. I was like I will go wherever you go. Like we're like Brazilian Victoria and David Beckham, but for esports, probably.
And I hope I can lift the trophy for me and her. We worked together in 2021, I believe it was, yeah.
That was my first big opportunity and first step. Back then, Smiley was a much more refined prospect. He was LEC level already. He was very, very close to making it into multiple teams. You know, it was a really, really great time. Smiley's always been a great lad when it comes to creating good team environments, you know, light, fun, you know, really personifying the whole enjoy the journey aspect of high performance.
I don't imagine I was under the consideration before Chris was in the picture. So yeah, he's the only reason I'm here, and that's also like why I feel a really strong sense of like that I have to win for him too, you know, because he gave me this opportunity, and obviously at a point in my career where I was kind of like fluctuating. I was going around the ERL teams. When you're in the ERL scene for a very long time, when you're starting to hit 24, 25, 26, and you haven't been to LEC, like you really need, like you can't only rely on your own skill, you also have to like find the right team at the right time.
E aí, Smiley, baixa a bola, tira a onda.
I think I've always been like this. I've always been an emotional person, and I always kind of had that view coming from being like a football fan. Like my dad took me to the games, going into esports, and thinking it's kind of like boring how people are not more like, you know, like let's fucking go, you know, like. But I was a big Premier League watcher, and I'm a big Chelsea fan. And also whenever I could, I would watch some games back home from Sweden with Malmö, which is like my dad's team. Like he's like a Brazilian when it comes to football, right? So I kind of like, that's also why when I came here, I really appreciated the fans and how they acted, because I've seen that from my dad in the living room back in Sweden, like crying and throwing things. So I do think I always was like that, but I think coming here really unlocked it and made me comfortable to act like that, I guess, in a way, right?
It's this experience like to cheer with the crowd. It really like elevates it. You feel like you wanna like scream, like I know, like Bora, like Vamo, like I know what to scream.
It takes a special type of athlete to be able to channel that energy, crowd energy, to play even better. And I've worked with a lot of athletes in my time, and I think that Smiley is one of the rare ones that actually have the gift. So I'm really excited to watch him play.
So now I'm playing in front of, what is it, 15,000 people with that kind of passion in a stadium. It's, you know, it's really the dream, you know. When I played in Russia back when I was 17, and it was like completely random. I ended up there. I still don't know, God knows. But I ended up in the National Hockey Arena in Moscow at the time, playing the finals for the Russian league. And that kind of environment was like what made me be so sure that this is what I want to do. So these kind of experiences now that I'm gonna go through in Belo Horizonte is what made me know that this is what I would want to do. This is what I love. Those moments, I hope I will have many more of in my career still. But you never know, right? So I'm gonna really try and take the moment in and enjoy it to the max, no matter what happens. I don't think I've worked this hard ever in my career, and yeah, I want to keep that up and make people proud.